Alright, it is the first day of Stage 2 of ESO Pro League. We kicked things off with our first round of 8 matchups, and I'm just going to kind of forego the pleasantries here. I know why you're here. You know why you're here. Saw blitzed NAVI, by far one of the biggest upsets of 2025, and that is easily the biggest story of the day. So we're going to get into that, as well as all 7 other results on top of that, and get ready for day 2 tomorrow. So if you guys like this kind of content, make sure you take a second, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm. And before we get started, I would like to thank today's sponsor. That's right, this video is sponsored by Skin Club. They are one of the most popular case opening sites in the scene, with over 100 custom cases backed by their provably fair system. You can open cases individually or wager your winnings against other users in case battles, either with players around the world or privately with bots if you want to avoid being smurfed outside of Premiere as well. But wait, there's more. Skin Club runs monthly events with free rewards to earn, free daily cases, and if you don't like what you earned, you can always go for a cheeky little upgrade to get something you do. If you want to play on Skin Club, you can do so at the top link in the description down below and get a 7% deposit bonus when you top off your account with credit card, crypto, or the 5,000 Peach 50 sand dunes in your inventory. Please gamble responsibly and only do so if you are over 18 and live in a country or jurisdiction that doesn't restrict gambling. Gambling can be an addiction, and you should never gamble for the purposes of making profit. Only wager what you are comfortable losing. If you or a loved one are suffering from gambling addiction in the US or Canada, you can reach out to 1-800-GAMBLER toll-free to get help. I want you to be safe and healthy always, so seek help if you need it. And thank you to Skin Club for sponsoring this video. Okay, just a brief note before we get started here. There's too many games. I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. 8 best of 3s in one day is far too much Counter-Strike for anybody to enjoy and watch, let alone analyze on anything more than a surface level. I am, at the end of the day, just a one-man operation, and I want to bring you guys the highest quality videos that I can. So I'm going to kind of merge the gap between my short-form content that I did last week and the longer-form recaps that I'm more known for. Basically, until the days cut down to a more reasonable amount of games, we're going to be pretty light in terms of the round-by-round analysis, just for the sake of levity. Keep in mind, if I even just kept things to 5 minutes per series, that's still 8 series, the video would be nearly 30 minutes long, and that's just too long for the type of content I like to make. So, we're going to keep things condensed, short, to the point, but hopefully with the same quality that you guys have come to enjoy and expect from me. So again, I apologize, and hopefully you understand. So, getting right into it, the first thing we're going to talk about is NAVI versus SAW. Normally I go in chronological order, but we're going to go out of order because this result stands out so strongly from the rest. Now, as I covered in my previous recap, SAW looked great in Stage 1, but it does come with a handful of caveats, not the least of which was level of competition, right? So your first round matchup being NAVI, the best team of 2024, is certainly a step up, and while NAVI certainly have their own host of problems, you would still expect NAVI to beat a team like SAW. I'm sorry. I don't care how much of a NAVI hater you are. Them losing in this way is a shocking upset, especially after destroying SAW 13-3 on Inferno to open the series. When you take that kind of dominant lead, this should be over for NAVI every single time. But some fucking how, Mutiras outcalled AlexiB and Blade, they played better Counter-Strike as a team, and blitzed them on the other 2 maps. Now Nuke is definitely a vulnerable map for NAVI, there's no doubt about that. But beating NAVI 13-9 like that is still remarkable. Of course, SAW did make a name for themselves last year as Nuke merchants, so I guess that kind of tracks. But still, Mutiras just has a great grasp on calling these T-sites. You throw in a great performance from Agile and Azuwu, and yeah, they looked great. Of course, again, caveat, JL was terrible, and JL is the X factor for NAVI. If he's even a little bit better, then I think NAVI would be better in this game. Hopefully that's just kind of obvious. Regardless, I think most people would give you guys Nuke. It's a map you specialize in. But NAVI, even at their worst, are a great ancient team. And you beat them 13-4. You didn't just beat NAVI, you stomped them. And who is it again? In a closing game of the series, apparently it is pronounced SHOUTOUT. At least that's what someone in the comments said. That it's like a soft Y sound, not a J sound. Polish people are weird. But SHOUTOUT was electric. He told NAVI see ya later. That was awful. I am keeping that in, but holy shit, you should dislike for that. Actually, don't. Leave a like and then leave a comment telling me you hated that joke. That's better. And I know like the HLTV anti-AlexiB kind of Reddit crowd will tunnel in on him only having 2 kills, but I don't care. AlexiB is not on this team to get frags. He's not needed to get frags normally. Every player who's supposed to get kills on NAVI failed to do so. Their system looked sloppy. Blade could not right the ship when things were going wrong, and Saw just looked like a dominant, well-rounded team, even though they've only been together for fucking 2 weeks. Again, not to like overly labor onto this point, but did anyone expect Saw to beat anybody in this tournament? I know of one, Edwin in my Discord, the only Portuguese fan in my Discord who is a diehard Saw fan, believed in them, but he's delusional. Sorry, Edwin. Saw could lose every round for the rest of the event, and this would still be unbelievable from them, is my point. Okay, circling back to the beginning of the day, we had Spirit taking on Tyloo, and man, it's nice to see Donk play. It really sucks they skipped PGL, because I just miss watching Donk destroy everything. Tyloo, they had their great run in stage 1. They looked alright here. I mean, they kept these competitive on Anubis 13-11, but they were not going to beat Spirit on Nuke. They lost their 13-6. Donk did Donk things. Shiro backed up the Donk when the Donk did die. This was just Spirit winning 2-0. This was about as utilitarian a Spirit win as you're ever going to see. Tyloo, good luck in the second round. We then had Vitality taking on MiBR, and full credit to MiBR because I think them taking a map off Vitality is a lot better than anyone was really hoping for. They beat them on Anubis 13-7. I will say though, at least to me, Vitality's always been like a weirdly weak Anubis team. Like ZywOo especially just doesn't play to his usual level on that map. So like them getting one there, I think is like the only spot they could. Every other map, considering MiBR have such a weak map pool, it just wasn't going to go their way. I think you saw that. ZywOo was vulnerable to safe on Anubis. He was not vulnerable to safe at all for the rest of the series. They won on Inferno 13-3, MiBR are terrible on Inferno. They then just kicked him out of the server, clean as you like, 13-8 on Train. Rops was amazing, Mezzi's still doing good work. Vitality is just like, they're a machine. Whereas Spirit, you can definitely expect Donk to just occasionally not be Donk. I don't see the hole in Vitality, and certainly MiBR don't. I will say as a footnote, I feel like Insani oftentimes really has bad series against top 5 or better opponents, but he was great in all 3 games. And if Insani can kind of like rise back to some of that like mid to late 2024 form, then I think that will help out MiBR a lot in the remaining matchups. And then honestly, another shocking matchup, though to not the same degree as Navi versus Saw, obviously, and that's 3D Max beating Eternal Fire 2-0. Now, I would give 3D Max a lot of credit. I think they can beat Eternal Fire any given day. I just would expect it to be a closer series. They beat them 13-10 on Inferno, and then 13-10 on Anubis. And that's twice now in this tournament where Eternal Fire have been vulnerable on their home map, the map that they are the best in the world on. And this time around, it's not because Zontaras went missing. Zontaras was the best player in the server for Eternal Fire on both maps. It was everyone else who did not show up. First things first, all credit to Lucky and Body for top fragging this series. They were both fantastic on both maps. Lucky, especially on Anubis, came through with a clutch 24 kill, 1.49 rating game that really helped them deep down the stretch to win those CT side rounds in the second half. Obviously, that's a lot harder to do than just go up on the T side half. Unfortunately, I think you can pin a lot of this game's failings onto Woxic. Now, that might look a little bit weird on the surface because you go look at the Inferno score box if you didn't watch the game, and you see that Woxic's right there with Zontaras. They both got 18 kills. Well, look one layer deeper. Woxic got 14 of those kills in the first half. He then proceeded to get 4 more kills for the rest of the game. And pretty much no one else other than Zontaras was much better. They just time and time and again would hit a brick wall that was the 3D Max defenders, and it would routinely spoil their efforts to take map control. The T side was just simply toothless in a way that it normally isn't, and I don't know how to really parse that, because Eternal Fire are usually one of the better T side teams in the world. Zontaras is obviously one of the best entries to play the game, and right now, at least in this game, he couldn't really get that impact. It just all contributes to this feeling that Eternal Fire are in a very weird spot in this tournament. They were definitely peaking as a top 5-6 team in the world for the first couple months of this year, but as has been rightly pointed out, how long are they going to continue to benefit from being a team that stayed mostly together through the player break versus every other team who arguably got better or broke up in some kind of way? I think the answer is time is running out. Eternal Fire needed to get those wins early on. They needed to win the Blast Bounty. They needed to win Cluj-Napoca. Because now, things are getting tighter, teams are getting better, they are growing at a pace that I don't think Eternal Fire can keep up with, because at the end of the day, Major is a limited in-game leader. Zontaras is incredible, but Woxic, he's not a top 5 opper. Jota, he could show something that maybe is a little bit better, and so can Wakadia, but they don't have, outside of Zontaras, a superstar top 20 level player in the team. And at least right now, they don't have the same team play they did at earlier tournaments to make up for that lack of talent. Okay, I just realized I skipped over the Mongolz versus GamerLegion in chronological order. Yeah, my bad. We're going to talk about them next, because I need to talk about them at some point. The Mongolz 2-0'd GamerLegion in one of the more entertaining games of the day, in my opinion. I think these teams are honestly very closely matched. I think the Mongolz have the edge in terms of raw firepower, but you just kind of can't fuck with the team play from GamerLegion here. I think the game played out along those lines. On Inferno, I'm sorry, GamerLegion, you guys just got shot out of the server. It's just insurmountable to win a game when 4 of the Mongolz players all outfragged your entire team. There's no amount of scientific Counter-Strike that can make up for that, at least not yet. But GamerLegion certainly brought more of that firepower on Mirage, where we went to overtime before Mongolz could win it out 16-14. And the fun part about this game was watching Senzu and Slend just go kind of band for band, bar for bar. They both had just huge, ridiculous multi-kill rounds up and down this game. And kind of despite all that, both teams just played really lockdown CT sides. Like, GamerLegion had to navigate a 10-4 deficit just to push this into overtime. And that required just very smart rotates, not overbiting on mid control, making sure you can play for trades and not give up B side, or else it's just an instantaneous save. It was just all very good. And Slend did an excellent job of varying up his position to not get overly caught by Mongolz utility, and that kept them in the game. Now, Mongolz, I think, were just decisively better in the overtime, and as much as the Mongolz have been one of the more popular teams in this like top 5 discussion, GamerLegion continues to show that they deserve to be in talks of one of these like dark horse teams. They absolutely could have won this game, and I expect them to continue to do well for the remainder of the tournament. Back in the correct order, we then had a pretty mind-numbing series between MOUZ and Furia. And I do say mind-numbing, mainly because I don't like watching Furia, and secondly because neither team is going to call anything really sophisticated. Obviously, Brolin's just not an in-depth in-game leader yet, and then Fallen, you know, is basically Snacks but an opper. Let's just call it what it is. He plays better than Snacks, but it's just funny to call him the Snacks of opping IGL, so I'm going to stand by it. I will give MOUZ a lot of credit. I'm still kind of waiting for this project to hit a speed bump. I don't think they're going to beat teams like Spirit or Vitality, and if they are going to beat those teams, it's just going to be on raw firepower. Again, I do think it's fine to have this like calling by committee style where there isn't like a dedicated super IGL like an Alexi B in Apex or a Kerrigan, but I do think people are taking this a little too far. I know Vu recently made a video talking about how IGLs are going to become obsolete, or they are obsolete now, and I personally just don't agree with that outlook. I don't think it's entirely wrong, because you can definitely get away with a lot with someone who just knows how to call a very loose system and a good coach. But you're going to hit a wall without a good top 5 IGL in the world. I think that's pretty self-evident. Even Chopper has gotten better at mid-round calling, and he's like the worst of the top 5 IGLs. But I just kind of refuse to accept the premise that MOUZ would not be better off with Shuhei instead of Brolin. It just disagrees with all my understanding of Counter-Strike. And until a team without a like truly talented IGL like wins a major, I will continue to hold that opinion. But circling back to the series, MOUZ did well. They beat Furia 13-9 on Train. Then Furia gutted out a great gutsy victory 16-13 on Inferno. That's definitely commendable. I have no real notes for Furia on that map. They even won clutches, something they don't do often. But then on Nuke, I think the firepower was the difference. Furia just could not win some of these low man situations because, to MOUZ's credit, every single player on their team is a shooter. Torji, Zershin, Jimmy, they were all fantastic. Spinks was like not very good to start the series, but he ended strong. MOUZ are just going to outgun you. That's their entire shtick, and Furia, they don't have a shtick to begin with. Next up, we had G2 taking on Pain. G2 swept Pain out of the server. It was 13-5 on Nuke, it was 13-8 on Inferno, and the first thing that has to be said, as far as I understand, Pain are still dealing with the team sickness. So I can't be critical of them right now. You're not playing at 100%, you played the maximum amount of games you could have in the first stage. That's going to cause a lot of wear and tear. Pain for the rest of this tournament, until we get like confirmation they are 100% healthy, they get a pass from me. I can't expect them to play like Pain's top 100% level. I think that's just an unfair expectation. For G2, MOUZ had a great bounce back series. It's no secret that Mongolz has had a very poor start to the year. He has not played like a top 5 player in the world, but this was a Mongolz of 2024 level performance. He was dominant, he hit all of his shots, and he made up for the fact that Snax is just there like counting clouds or something. I don't really know what he does. He doesn't really kill anybody, but he's there. He's having a good time. He's big funny man. I mean, not to be this glib about it, but Snax's one highlight that ESL tweeted out was him fucking playing Baby Shark with a PP Bison. The jokes write themselves, right? I don't have to comment on that? Okay, cool. Anyways, on like a more serious note about G2, I'm a little bit worried about MOUZ. He does have like off and on good games. I think his positioning needs a lot of help. I do think he's trying too hard to fill Nico's shoes. He's said as much and intimated as much, but like, especially on Inferno, Banana, CT side, you really feel the loss of Nico's presence because he's just so good at anchoring that side of the map. And I think MOUZ is on an island trying to kind of like poor man's adaptation his way through what Nico used to do. I don't know if the solution is having someone else play B or support him more, but I kind of wish MOUZ would dial it back a little bit, play something that's a little bit more comfortable to his play style, because he is kind of routinely getting hunted on that CT side, and it's going to make Inferno games against better teams really hard to navigate. Now again, watch me eat my own words, mark my words, the next Inferno game they play, MOUZ is going to play fantastic because I have a great caster's curse, but it's still something that stands out to me and is worth noting. And all that leaves for the last series of the day is Falcons versus Team Liquid. By far the most entertaining game of the day, but my god did it take fucking forever to play out. Overtimes on 2 maps, and at the end of it all, Falcons, they squeak out a victory, though honestly I think Liquid played better, but we'll get there when we get there. Firstly on Inferno, 16-13, Falcons win in overtime. Falcons are still struggling to make Inferno work when you consider that their core 3 of players perma-banned it less than 6 months ago. That kind of makes sense. Nico is of course a force of nature on the map, but here's kind of the problem, is that he only was on the CT side. They got by and won this game with Nico only getting 2, count them, 2 goddamn kills on the T side. That's remarkable. I can't remember the last time Nico was that bad on a half of Counter-Strike and they proceeded to win the game, because he's always the linchpin of his teams. So the fact that everyone kind of like gathered around him to support and uplift the T side so they could win this game is pretty commendable. Less commendable is Tesses, because he was awful on this map. He was awful on Dust 2 as well. He wasn't at all good in this series until we get to Ancient. He went 8-18 on Inferno. That's a disaster. You need Tesses to perform. In the same token, Falcons winning with both Nico and Tesses struggling speaks to the fact that they're getting better with their depth of team play. For Team Liquid, this was a hard map to watch from NAF, which really sucks because NAF is one of my favorite players, and when he goes missing, I really think it affects Liquid's structure in a big way, because he's such an important anchor on the CT side, he plays such a pivotal lurking role on the T side. When you can't count on NAF to just be a consistent force, it puts so much more pressure on Twist to be able to find good holes and call good strats, and Twist, while he was great individually, the calls were very simple, so they would get found out on a lot of these T-side setups. Ultimate, also not really his strongest map. Inferno is a tough map for Opper, so I kind of give him a pass, especially because he does so great in the following 2 games. But yeah, NAVI definitely gets a lot of credit. The way he's kind of just stepped up and become this dynamic entry aggressive player after playing so passive for Heroic last year, it's just fun to watch. He looks fully activated, and fair play for whatever system Liquid have, they are making good utilization of him, which is good. That's just what you want to see. Moving on to Dust 2, Liquid clapped back 13-9. Falcons play a lot of Dust 2, but as has been pointed out rightly by Thorin on I believe his hot take point made, Falcons, they win Dust 2 when they bang people's heads off. They have no dynamics to the map other than that, at least not right now, and that's what we saw play out. Liquid outshot the Falcons thoroughly. Tesses once again struggled, everyone else was just kinda okay. Meanwhile, the story for Liquid 100% is Mr. Roland from Poland. Ultimate just has a huge bounce back for the rest of the series, and in fact these 2 maps are probably the best 2 maps I've seen from Ultimate in quite a while. He's had such a significant downturn of play that I think many were rightfully worried that he was just kind of flaming out as a tier 1 talent, but the way I see it with Ultimate, he has the ultimate, no pun intended, highs, and he has the ultimate, pun intended, lows. When he peaks, he looks incredible, like a top 5 or better Opper, but good lord does he struggle to maintain that peak anywhere nearly consistently enough. If Ultimate can play like this every game, yeah, Liquid have a shooter's chance. But when Ultimate doesn't play good, he throws away his life too much, and that makes Liquid so much harder to navigate in some of these more competitive games. Moving on to Ancient, Ultimate keys at that performance. He ends the map with 29 kills, 15 deaths, and a 1.59 rating. But Falcons, they close out the game strongly, 16-13, winning out in overtime. And that's pretty remarkable because Liquid went up 8-4 on their CT side half, and considering this is a T side map, I consider this a total failing on the part of Liquid's calling. I really have to wonder what the fuck Myther even does as a coach, because I don't see any good tactics from this team. And if you're gonna have a very loose, inexperienced in-game leader, the coach matters so much more. Like, fair play to MOUZ, at least Cyclone is a world-class coach. He can make up for a lot of the shortcomings in theory. But Liquid doesn't have that. They didn't keep Zeus. Zeus is a world-class coach, but Twist Ego apparently got in the way of that. And Myther just seems like a guy's guy. Like, he's just there to keep the vibes up. What strats did Myther call? I sure as fuck don't see it. Like, again, I'm gonna make this point in every recap until Shuhi is on another team. If you're Team Liquid and you're not throwing a bajillion Polish doubloons, whatever the currency is in Poland, at Shuhi, what in the fuck are we doing? Anyways, good bounce back series by Tesses. They were great in the overtime. Falcons beat Liquid, but Liquid should have won this series with how they were playing, like straight up. I don't know, man. I'm tired. We're just gonna end the video there. I'll be back for tomorrow with hopefully enough sleep. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to Skin Club for sponsoring this video. You can check the top link in the description for a 7% deposit bonus next time you fill up on the website. And of course, thank you to my channel members: Justin, Jesse, Furley, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, Patatas Kaftesi, PTR, B1 Games, Cody Foxworthy, Justin Vander, Vegt, and our newest channel members, I'm Flashbang and Snow Me White. If you want to become a channel member, you can just link in the description down below. $5 a month. You can support me directly, get your name in the video just like this, as well as a custom roller community Discord. Follow me on Twitch.tv/LionHeartZ1237. That's the wrong Twitch link. Fuck. It's Twitch.tv/LionHeartZCS2. That was my old Twitch link. This is my new one.